A lot of young people in that town for sure.
That's
Marines.
right. Were you ever on the air in that market?
I was in New Bern, North Carolina. The
Right.
great thing is I went to NC State, and
Oh, yeah.
my very first job, I did weekends at WCTI, the ABC station there, which happened to be in the home market. So it was neat for my mom and dad to go to work and have,
Oh, yeah.
hey, I saw your son this morning on television.
I love it.
So-
I love it.
And I was there for 3 years, and then 14 years ago, our company asked about coming down here, and I said, sure. And man, I've loved it ever since.
You've been in this market for 14
years, yeah.
My Lord.
I know, I've surprised myself.
That's amazing. Yeah, what is the normal track for a meteorologist? I mean, is there a desire oftentimes to continue to move up, or if you find a great market like the Myrtle Beach, Florence market, just to stay here?
I think a lot of people, when they first get into the business, they want to get to a market of Myrtle Beach's size and try to move on to a bigger and better market as they think. But when I got here, I probably had that same idea, but I just fell in love with the area. It was conveniently close to my family, and I just had zero desire to go anywhere. I mean, the only way I'm leaving here is if they let us go. So I plan to stay as long as they'll allow me to stay. But yeah, I have no desire to go anywhere else. I just love the area. My wife loves the area,
Right.
so.
Is your wife from the area?
She's not, but we met in Jacksonville also. Her father was in the Navy, mine was in the Marine Corps. So.
Sure, yeah.
So her family's relatively close as well. So
Oh, yeah. That's
works out
exciting.
well.
What is your typical day like, Ed? If you weren't doing the Celebrity Waiter luncheon
Right.
today, how do you prep for 5, 6, 10, and 11?
Okay. Typically, if I'm not doing any speaking engagements, I'm at the office between 2 and 3 o'clock. And
Right.
the first thing we always do as a meteorologist, you always look outside and see what's happening now. Because if you
Yeah.
don't know what's happening now, you can't forecast into the future. But
Right.
So then we go through a bunch of our models, as we call them, which are just maps that we look at to help us determine what's happening now, looking into the future. And then, as I tell the children all the time, one of my favorite parts of my job is I get to color every day. We get to get all the maps and put them together, and then we get prepared and do the 6, 7, 10, and 11, and they're live. And we get our
6,
dinner break.
7, 10, and 11.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I said 5.
Oh, that's okay.
Right. 6, 7, 10, and 11.
We do a tease at 5 o'clock, but that's about it.
Yeah, right, sure.
But that's it in a nutshell. Just preparing all the graphics, preparing the forecast, and you spend 3 or 4 hours getting all that ready to speak on television for about 3 or 4 minutes. So it's obviously important to be clear and concise with what you're saying.
Oh, yeah, very good point. But of course, your area here, I mean, an 8-county central focus area, 3 regions, southeastern North Carolina, the PD region of this state, and obviously the Strand. I mean, a lot of focus on Horry and Georgetown, but a lot more of your viewers are outside of these 2 counties, or at least outside of Horry.
Yeah, they really are. I mean, we say we go almost to Columbia, all the way up into Lumberton and Laurinburg,
Sure,
and
almost
they're
to Fayetteville, yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
And there are vast differences in the weather a lot of times.
Right.
I've seen situations where it's 70 in Myrtle Beach, and I kid you not, and it's 38 in Florence.
Oh, come on.
I'm not kidding you. We have wedge situations that cause that situation.
Yeah, what would cause that?
Well, often cold air is very dense, so it comes down the east side of the mountains, and warmer air tries to work in off the ocean. It can make it in off the ocean to about Myrtle Beach, maybe get to 70 with that warmer air, but the cold air is locked in across the PD and on the border belt. I kid you not, I've seen that before.
That's amazing, yeah.
It's pretty amazing. So that's very difficult to forecast.
That would make it difficult to get the word across to viewers there. Don't travel inland. You need to stay right here.
Oh, yeah, that's so true.
How exciting, Ed, for you. And as you think about the changes in meteorology, let's say even just in the last 14 years, the time you've been here at WPDE and CW21, I mean, what are some of the biggest changes that have occurred in the last 14 years? Does anything really stick out?
Yeah, when I first got here, Doppler radar was not on the air yet here, and we bought our very first system. I mean, the very first system we bought at WPD was a Doppler radar system. So we were the first to actually bring Doppler radar to the market and to explain to people exactly what that meant.
Yeah, and explain it real quick. We got a few minutes. What is the significance of Doppler radar?
Most radars basically can detect precipitation. They send out an electromagnetic beam, and part of that beam is returned if it hits an object, whether it's a raindrop, a tree, whatever it is. And by determining how much of that energy is returned, it can map how heavy the rain is. Okay, so most radars do that. What Doppler radar does also is it detects air motion. And so we know whether the air is moving toward us or away from us. And if we see any sort of a circulation that looks something like this within the thunderstorm, it might be an indication that the storm is rotating and could be producing a tornado. So Doppler radars can see tornadoes forming before they actually touch down a lot of times. Not always. It's not perfect, but it gives us at least some lead time when it comes to tornado
Very
warnings.
important.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
Doppler's particularly important for tornado-prone
Yes.
areas, right?
And it constantly is evolving. There are new radars out there called dual polar radars that can send out a beam this way and actually detect the shapes of different objects in the atmosphere. So you know if it's a snowflake or if it's a sleet pellet or a raindrop. So it basically can detect precipitation types by doing that.
Oh,
That's a little bit down the road in our market.
Yeah, that's right. These are, I assume, pretty pricey, very expensive things for TV stations to go after.
The government has an array of Doppler radars, of course, that most of us use on television.
Right.
An individual Doppler radar, and the prices vary, but some are as cheap as $250,000. You can get them for a couple of million easily.
Oh, my Lord, yeah.
It's a huge investment for a television station, and typically in smaller markets, it's a little more difficult to do. So.
Right. So there is some level of piggybacking on the government, who assumably has the most up-to-date everything there. And, of course, there's also is there a sense ever of working together with other meteorologists, either in market or out of market?
Yeah, a lot of people look at the folks that are on television and think they must hate each other.
Oh, right. Big competitors,
But, I'm very fortunate that the guys that have been here as meteorologists in this market, I've gotten along with very well.
Sure.
Don Lors at 13 was a great friend of mine.
Right.
Frank's a real nice guy at 13.
Yeah,
we have a good time together when we see each other. And I know in some television markets around the country, they're bitter rival enemies.
Brutal,
there's a piece of the pie for everybody, the way I look at it, and I just do my job the best I can. I can't control what everybody else does or what they say, but we get along really well, I think.
Good for you. That's a good thing, and folks should, and I'm sure the anchors probably feel the same way. You all have you're the face for the TV station much of the year, which is great.
We get to go out and have all the fun a lot of times.
Right.
And can have the personalities on television. Anchors, it's a little more difficult because of the hard news that they have to read a lot of times.
Right.
It's fun.
What is the most frequently asked question for you, Ed? Let's say from the students, maybe 5th grade, 6th grade. What are the questions that really pop up, or one in particular that stands out?
Just as in my job in general, every child wants to know how much money we make.
Oh, wow. Well,
yeah, the teachers get a little, and then and it's not nearly as much as what people think. They think because we're on television, we make a fortune. But I think the next big question is, can it really snow when it's really, really cold? Or you hear that often, it can't snow when it's really cold, which is not true. But to make a long story short there, the colder it is, the less moisture in the air, so the snowflakes are much smaller. But it can snow at any temperature below freezing. So
anything below 32
degrees, exactly. And, some of the questions we'll get into the weather office a lot of times, which are, today, February 28th, hey, my daughter's getting married in August. Can you tell me what the weather's going to be like on August 22nd at 4 o'clock in the afternoon?
Oh, my. Wow.
So long-range forecasting is nowhere near as accurate as you would think, and it's very difficult. But that's probably the biggest ones we get.
And for you, Ed, as a child growing up, what was it early on? I don't think I asked you that directly. What was it that spurred the interest in meteorology?
I've always just loved the weather. I remember living in South Texas and Corpus Christi, where it never snows. And I remember the meteorologist getting on there saying, we have a chance of ice. And I would take the maps and take them to school with me and show the kids, like, hey, this is what's going to happen today, and blame it on the weather guys if it was wrong.
Right.
But yeah, my high school project was on hurricanes with the local meteorologist down there who I had been here at Myrtle Beach for 10 years. I saw him at a conference and said, you're not going to believe this, but I actually did a high school project with you, and now I'm a meteorologist in another market. So it was kind of strange for him to hear that, 20 years ago.
I bet. How exciting.
Yeah, I just always had that passion. I've been very lucky to follow that and make a career out of it. So
that's wonderful. Well, of course, the real focus is the Red Cross, the big kickoff, which really starts today with the celebrity luncheon, and folks can, if they missed talking about it just a few minutes ago, they can get out there today. Just show up at 11. Will there be a cutoff when they can't get in? I mean, do they need to be there at 11, 11:30? If they can't get out of work until noon, can they still come on over?
That was discussed in our meeting just last week. They can show up whenever they want.
Okay.
The food will be there. They'll have plenty of food. We obviously want you to get there as early as you can so you can maximize your time there. But if you can't get there until 12:30, 1 o'clock, we'll take you and have a lot of fun. And we'll be doing everything that we're doing at 11 o'clock right through 2 o'clock. So.
Until 2 o'clock. I think you mentioned the auction cuts off at 1:30.
Yes.
So if you want to get in, is there a live auction component or all silent?
No, it's going to be all silent. People can come in and they'll get a number. They'll register for the number, and then we'll hopefully get people bidding on this stuff and then make the
Right.
announcement at 1:30 so people can get back to work if they desire to do so.
Great, good. And now you highlighted some of the other events in the restaurant component where in one single day you'll be promoting obviously which restaurants it is
Sure.
on WPDE and CW21 during the course of
The month of
March.
March.
Okay.
Right. What I'll do is the night before, for instance, take Krabby Mike's. That's
Right.
Mike Arrakis restaurant.
Yes.
The night before, I'll say, hey, Krabby Mike's tomorrow is going to donate a portion of their proceeds to the American Red Cross, so we hope you'll go to their restaurant and
Right.
eat a meal there because some of that's going to help the Red Cross. And we'll do that during the month of March. And one other event that I wanted to mention
Oh, yeah,
was
please.
the Carolina Opry is doing 2 shows on the 7th and the 8th.
Right.
And what they're going to do is give a portion of their proceeds from those 2 shows to the American Red Cross. But here's the catch. You've got to buy the tickets through the American Red Cross website. You go to their website, as we've talked about.
Right. CoastalSCARC.org. Okay.
You go there, go ahead and register there, and they'll give you $2 off the tickets, and half of the proceeds from those ticket purchases will go to the American Red Cross. So we encourage you, if you want to see Great Vibration Show on March 7th
Right.
or the traditional show on March 8th, if you register through the Red Cross website, you'll get a discount and you'll help the Red Cross tremendously.
And half of the proceeds
Half,
will go
yeah.
to the American Red Cross.
I think that's very generous of the Carolina Opry to do
Get
that.
down.
So.
That is
Oh, yeah.
tremendous. Absolutely.
Good
They've
post.
done so much. Last Thursday, the Herald highlighted the pageant, the Miss Myrtle
Oh,
Beach
yes.
pageant, which was just held there at the Carolina Opry. They're doing some great things.
Oh, yeah.
Clearly, you've got great support from all the theaters with Greg Rolls helping out
Oh, yeah.
this late morning and early afternoon. Ed, sorry we've run out of time.
Thank you, sir, for
Thanks so
having
much
me.
for being with us
Thanks,
this
Greg.
morning. Good luck on the entire campaign.
Thank you, and thanks for everything you do as well.
Absolutely. Stay tuned to more Carolina People with Chief Meteorologist, WPDE News Channel 15, Ed Piotrowski, coming up next. You know, I know it's about 7:25, and you wouldn't normally be pulling out a pen or paper, but you got to take the time to write these numbers down. These are real numbers, and they're dealing with families that have been impacted by fire, tornadoes, hurricanes, but more recently, fires. Take the time to write this down. 477-0020, 843-477-0020. That's the number for the Coastal South Carolina chapter of the American Red Cross. There's also, of course, a tremendous date. The date is March 15th. You can be out at the Hooray for Hollywood event down at Litchfield Beach Resort. March 7th and 8th up at the Carolina Opry are the tremendous days, the Carolina Opry days to benefit the American Red Cross. And then today, from 11 to 2, you can get out to Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville. Take the time to go to Broadway at the beach. The celebrity waiters will be out there. Not only Ed Piotrowski and Mayor Rhodes and Greg Rolls, but a whole slew of other folks will be out there. You can be there, $50 per person, but take the time. Go online to coastalscarc.org, coastalscarc.org. There's a lot of information there. It highlights that $81,000 have been spent in the last 7 months to impact and benefit 500 victims of fires in our area alone. In these 3 counties, Horry, Georgetown, and Williamsburg counties, there's a reason Ed Piotrowski's sitting here at 7 a.m., rushing up to Broadway at the beach at 11 a.m., and then getting on air at 6, 7, 10, and 11 to get the word out about the American Red Cross. It's because of the people in our area that are being impacted. Go online or take the time to pick up the phone, but make a difference for the families in our area.